Welcome to the Greatness Engineering Show, the space where leaders, innovators, and game changers reveal what it takes to rise, lead, and leave a mark. And this is your go-to show for your powerful insight and unfiltered journeys and the blueprint for building, your greatness and going to the next level of your greatness. So today we're going to India. We're going to talk about a very, interesting subject. My guest today is life architect and multifunction therapist and life coach April Quadros. I hope I pronounced the name really well. She will be able to rectify if I'm pronouncing it the wrong way. And she has an interesting background after 2 decades as thriving as in the entertainment industry as an artist. She actually decided to switch to life architecture. So we will learn a little bit more about what it means, because I don't actually know what is a life architect, and that will be a good opportunity for us to know exactly what it is. The topic of today is using the path of least resistance to start healing and consciously create a life you love. So I think it's everybody will be recognize themselves into this type of topic, and I hope that you're going to be inspired today. So let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching live, let us know where you're watching from. Let us know if you have any question, any insight. If you want to participate, just don't hesitate. This show is for you. We bring the people that I call greatness engineer for you to learn from their stories, learn from their philosophy, the tools that they've used to get where they are, and also make sure that it helps you to go to the next level of your greatness. So we're going to start the show, and have your pen and paper to take notes, because I'm pretty sure you're going to learn a lot from April today. So don't go anywhere. We're starting now. To another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show, the show that is brought to you by the Mireille Toulekima Global Leadership Organization.
Feel is important is if you just look at the word compassion, when it's behavior, it's something that can be learned, and it is something that we can embody through habits and through our daily action.
To get this idea that if we interject this wisdom intentionally, I call them needle movers. It's the needle mover that's missing.
Don't deprive the world of your greatness. Don't do that anymore. Dare to excel, dare to be sexy, dare to be you, dare to be the best version of yourself. Impact yourself positively, and from there impact others, and you are not alone.
So we are here. So we will welcome April soon. I hope that she will be coming soon. I'm really looking forward to have this conversation with her on a very important subject, and which is using the path of least resistance to start healing and a consciously created life. And she will be able to explain to us her journey and how she switched from being full-time 2 decades in the entertainment industry and moving to become a life architect. So welcome Everett to the Greatness Show. It is a pleasure to have you. And just before we start embarking into this very inspiring subject, I just want you to introduce yourself. Let us know who you are and what are the most important things that the audience needs to know about you.
Thank you so much, Mireille. And I'm very, very happy to be here. You've been very gracious and very authentic. And I like the way you said, even I don't know what a life architect is. And that's so authentic, and it was very endearing. So hello, everyone, from wherever you are watching from all across the globe. I'm Avril Quadras, and I tagged myself as a life architect because I think life is all about how you build it, and you don't have to leave anything to destiny. You can choose to recreate the blueprint of your life at any age, and I'm the perfect example because after being in show business for actually, Morel, more than 3 decades, I
More than
decided
3 decades, right? Wow.
yes, I decided to take the leap and recreate my life in my late 30s. I
Mhm.
started exploring spirituality and got a message from one of my precious gurus, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And he said, we have so many singers and entertainers, but we don't have healers, and that's what the world needs. And those
Mhm.
words really resonated with me. And that's when I left my life in Bollywood in India. Bollywood is the biggest entertainment industry in the world. And I decided to leave it and to come back to Bangalore, where I stay now with my mother, and help people to recreate a life that they completely resonate with. So that's why I'm here, I guess, today also with you. And I think everything is divinely synchronized. I
Mhm.
don't think anything in life is a coincidence because I believe the universe is far too intelligent and the divine is far too intelligent for coincidences. I like to call them divine synchronicities.
Mhm.
So, everyone who's here on the call, people who will be watching also later, it's all divinely synchronized. So, I'm very happy to be here and thank you so much for being so gracious. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
We're very happy to have you, and I like the fact that you have this parallel between us building our life, because I don't think everyone thinks that we are the architect of our own life. So it's important to have this conversation and really remind people that we are at the center of our own life and we have to be the builder. We have to build it. And that's also one of the reasons I have this show, is that when we talk about engineer, we always think engineer in a scientific way or anything, but we are all engineer of our life. And that's important that we understand that we are at the center of our life. So I'm just gonna, just to complete the your introduction, just show a video to the audience, and so that they have a little bit more insight about what you do, and how you operate as a life architect.
Atma Namaste. I'm Avril Quadras. Once upon a time, my stage was Bollywood. The lights, the fame, and the applause. Yet in the middle of all of it, there was a quiet voice inside me asking, is this really what I want? Is this really enough? And that question changed everything for me. It led me from the external world of performance into the inner world of healing, growth and transformation. My path shifted profoundly when I was blessed under the guidance of my personal guru, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. His teachings reminded me that true power is not in what we achieve on the outside, but in who we become on the inside. Today, I'm known as the Life Architect. I'm a certified Kundalini Yoga teacher, an energy therapist, an ICF PCC international coach, a mindfulness and meditation teacher, and a quantum therapist. I help people work with the roots of all fears, the deep belief of not being enough or not being good enough. In my sessions, we explore why negative emotions arise and how they get stored in the cells of the body. Together, we blend powerful protocols like Kundalini Yoga Kriyas, fascia release, heart math-based meditations, quantum healing, and deep integrative practices. Now, these experiences don't just help people release what's been in their body for years, what the body's been holding on to. They also open up new spaces inside where lightness, confidence, and deep peace naturally emerge. And perhaps you're already imagining what would it be like to feel free from the inside and to release what no longer serves you. My work, my dear friend, is not about therapy. It's about transformation. When you and I work together, you begin to design your life from a place of wholeness, worthiness, and power. And while you're listening, you may be already wondering, what would become possible for me when that old fear of not being good enough finally dissolves? If that's the journey you're ready for, then this is your invitation to connect with me. Because the life that you desire is already waiting. You just need to step into it. From my heart to yours, Atma Namaste and Satnam. Stay true to being you, my powerful one, because you matter.
It's all about transformation, really. And so I'm very curious to know, how this transition happened, what just tell us, how you went from, being in the light and in, Bollywood, being really, really focusing on the external world to coming into inside now, focusing on the inside world. So what were your, what were the difficult moment, the difficult part or the easiest part? How did you leave that transition?
Thank you, Mireille. So before I continue, I'm going to ask people to forgive me because it's a big festival in India. It's called Ganesh Chaturthi, and he's the god of new beginnings. And so you can hear a lot of crackers because they're taking processions out to immerse the idol. So there's nothing I can do about it. So if you hear any crackers, it's because we have a big festival on. And even though I've closed all the doors and windows, I've left a few windows open, but you can still hear some sound. So please bear with me. But it's a really auspicious time in India for new beginnings. So we couldn't have picked a better time to talk about this, Mireille.
Exactly.
So yeah, so a small caveat there. Coming to your question, thank you for asking. So when I was in Bollywood, I started really young. I started in show business really young when I was a teenager. And then I moved to Mumbai, or Bombay, as I like to call it still. And I was always in a hurry. I was always listening to other people. I was always fulfilling other people's agendas because that's what you do when you're in show business. You have a manager, you have an agent, you have people who tell you how to dress, and they even tell you how to think. So I was literally on autopilot, being something that I didn't truly resonate with, but at the same time, I was just 1 second. I don't know why something is happening on my phone. 1 second. I think the link was open on my phone and it was playing on my phone. Sorry. So at the same time, I felt a lot of discomfort and I felt very alone. I
Mhm.
felt I felt I had no one to talk to. I felt a deep void within me, but I didn't do anything about it because I always thought, with money, with fame, with fans, with XYZ, I would feel better. And I was exposed to the whole gamut of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, as they say. But something within me always stopped me. And that really intrigued me because I could be in a space where people were doing all of the above, but I would never indulge. And I
Mhm.
often wondered why, because it was the norm. And I was deeply religious at that time. So that could be a reason. I was brought up Roman Catholic. But there was something else, like, like an alter self, like an alter ego that always stopped me. And then, of course, life teaches you lessons when you're ready to learn. And when things are going well, you don't necessarily learn because you're blinded to the inside, because you're just so happy with material possessions and material success, that, you're kind of floating on some kind of a cloud.
Mhm.
And when life began to get tough because of unfulfilled relationships and managers and agents body shaming me, and people telling me to do certain things I really didn't want to do, that's when I really needed to take a step back and think, is this really all that there is? And after this, what? And
Mhm.
coincidentally, at that time, um, I had a brush with energy healing. So I had a brush with energy healing, and I was going through a very tough marriage. I was in love with this person, but he turned out to be a very, very, um, and I'm just stating facts here. I have utmost compassion for him, but he turned out to be a very, very helpless alcoholic. And
Mhm.
you can't help people who don't want to help themselves. So we went to therapy, we went to counseling, we tried everything, it didn't work. And at that point in time, I thought to myself, how long am I going to give this? Because I was the breadwinner of the family,
Mhm.
primarily. And I just threw in the towel after 15 months because something inside me just broke. There was a lot of physical abuse, emotional abuse, and I couldn't take it anymore. I felt like my spirit was really crying.
Mhm.
And so I walked out of a marriage there, and I was very much in love with my husband. I didn't leave out of the fact that I didn't love him or I hated him or I despised him. No, or it was actually the opposite. But a friend of his actually said something that really resonated. So a friend of his said, if you don't leave, either you will die or he will kill you. And then I thought to
Mm.
myself, yeah. And then I thought to myself, oh my God. And so once when he was he was drunk and he was sleeping it off, I just packed whatever I could. I put my things in my car. It was pouring rain. And I just drove back to my father's house. And I was very lucky because my father took me back. And, because in India,
Mhm.
sometimes parents, they say, no, now you belong to your husband. You can't come back. It happens. But my parents were very, very forthright with me even before I got married. And they said, he's not the right person for you. But, I always say love is not just blind, love is deaf and dumb also. So, I mean, I was obviously besotted with the man. So, I made a mistake. And, but then the thing that really stands out for me, that stood out for me here is that even though I was ashamed of what I had done, I wanted to give myself a second chance. And then I said, let me now move out of this showbiz and let me look at something beyond. And I actually started energy healing Morel because the first person who needs healing is me, right? I mean, they
Mhm.
they say God helps those who help themselves, and charity begins at home. it's quite literally the truth, because if you don't help yourself, I mean, you can't really help other people. So I said, let me focus on healing, and I don't want to go to a traditional counselor, therapist, coach, all the things that I am now. I said I want to clear out my energy. And so I did pranic healing, which is a very ancient healing practice, very much similar to Reiki. And
Mm-hmm.
I healed, I got better, and then I began doing it for other people. And so it's my journey grew from there. So it actually happened because I needed a proverbial kick in the butt. And God gave me
Mm-hmm.
exactly that through a broken marriage and through, people expecting me to do things that I really didn't want to do,
Mm-hmm.
which I began to question. So I don't know if that answers your question.
That's actually answered the question, and you went, quite into detail. And just listening to you now that you've basically healed yourself, transition, looking back, with everything that you went through, what do you think continue to contribute to guide you, guide your work today? What are the key lessons that you actually take from that journey that you've done and that transition that you can share with us?
Amazing. A couple of things come to mind. I'm just going to, talk about them as I can, put some words to it. The
Mm-hmm.
first thing is give yourself a chance.
Mm-hmm.
You're always better and more precious than you think you are. So the number one thing is people don't give themselves a chance because they think I'm too old, I'm too fill in the blank. And the second thing is there's a lot of fear attached to this,
Mm-hmm.
because, and I was full of fear. I mean, I can talk about fear now, and I work with people through fears, because I was the most, I was the, you could scare me with anything. A pin could drop and I would be scared, because there was so much of fear in my energy, in the cells of my body. So I literally had to literally confront my fears, make friends with them, and move ahead. So the second thing is fear. And the third thing is there's always, so in Kundalini Yoga, which is the tradition I practice, we believe that we have two selves. One is the ego self, which we would call, for lack of a better, just to understand it better, the ego is the lower self and it's based in fear. And then we have the Satnam. Satnam simply means I am truth. And the
Mm-hmm.
truth is based in love. So love and fear can never coexist. So when you're in a state of fear, you can't be in a state of love. And when you are in love, you can't be in a state of fear. They just don't coexist, because the frequency of both these energies on the vibrational scale is like fear is right at the bottom and love is towards the top of the pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really mix them together. They can't exist in one person at the same time. You can go through them at different times, even during the day, or in a split second. If you probably see a tiger, you can move from love to fear. But generally, the fear that we're talking about is the fear of not being good enough, the fear of failure, these kind of fears. It's because you haven't really arrived and you're not
Mm-hmm.
staying in your satnam. So that's another thing that I realize now, that if I didn't trust my intuition and move into my higher self through my energy work and through the philosophy of Buddhism, because Buddhism is not a religion, it's just a philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I always say Shakyamuni Buddha was the best and will continue to remain the best psychologist ever. Because if you correlate his teachings to any psychology journals, because I'm a student of psychology, they're just saying things in a different way that he talked about in BC. So
Mm-hmm.
these three things, I think, if you can give yourself a chance, which I did, if you can make friends with fear, you can't fight with fear, you've got to make friends with it. So I wrote a book in 2021 which I dedicated to my late father, called You Should Be Scared: How
Mm-hmm.
7 Key Fears Can Set You Free. Because I found through my therapy with with clients, and I've told my clients stories. I mean, they've told their own stories. There are 5 of my clients, that you can't fight fear. When you fight fear, it
Mm-hmm.
fights back with you, because it's only trying to protect you. But when you make friends with fear and see it as an ally, as someone who's trying to help you and it's giving you a signal, that's when you can make that shift. And the third thing is to realize that we are all egotistical creatures because the ego is based in fear, and the main fear is the fear of survival. So if we can move from that into the Satnam or the truth of who we are, and each person's truth is different. I don't think, and these are my personal opinions through my experience and through what I believe authentically. I don't think your truth, Mireille, necessarily has to be the same as my truth.
Mm-hmm.
You true to yourself, and you can have your own values and ideals and your own truth and your definition of it, and I can have my own truth, and we can still be extremely good friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's But then when there's a conflict between your truth and mine, we can even talk about it. We don't have to adapt each other's. We can still remain true to who we are, and we can still have a beautiful conversation and be friends. So I think those three things for me, when I look back, those three
Mm-hmm.
things were uh, the only things that I had. I didn't have any
Mm-hmm.
support from anyone or anything, of course, my parents, but I really didn't have any friends who I could count on. I just had to do this
Mm-hmm.
on my own, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did because I developed a dependence only on myself. Again, going
Mm-hmm.
within.
And that's the most important thing, because that's the only thing you can control. You can't control, whatever, how people are going to view things that you bring in. And that's really good that you've actually, developed that for yourself, and you also have control on all of this. So very powerful. I hope, whoever is watching, you have, taken notes, because these are really powerful key lessons that we April just shared with us. Just want to say hello to one of the viewer here, Shaitan, who is watching with us today, and saying so great work, April. So really enjoying what's going on. So we're gonna have a short break, and then we will be back to continue and develop a little bit more on the work that you're doing right now and how you're working with your clients as well. So don't go anywhere. We will be back in a few minutes.